This episode of the Digital Tourism Show was brought to you today by Rentrax, fully customizable rental management systems for tour operators. You can book your free demo at rentrax.com. Hi everyone and welcome to another Digital Tourism Show. In this episode I have the pleasure of speaking with Russell Astle-Coates of Tourism Tiger, and we will be discussing the key fundamentals to optimize your tour operator website. We'll be looking at everything from the customer journey and the best methods to drive bookings and drive leads to your business, as well as the optimum layout for your website. So sit back, grab a coffee for this hour-long episode of discussing how you can get the most from your tour operator website. So welcome to the Digital Tourism Show, episode 252. So thanks, Russell, for joining us on the Digital Tourism Show. We've been looking to get Tourism Tiger on here for a while, so I'm glad that you guys have managed to jump on board. So for anyone who doesn't know who you are or who Tourism Tiger are, would you mind just explaining what you guys do?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I think this has been about 2 years in the making, hasn't it?
Just
So,
about, yeah.
yeah, no pressure on it delivering after all that time. So in terms of Tourism Tiger, we specialize in building websites for tour and activity operators. So we deal with everything from the actual project management, we do the website design, write the content, and when we do all the technical stuff, and we make sure when we put it all together, it's a good functioning website that's focused on selling tours, selling activities, and getting the clients or the website visitors the information that they want to get to.
Excellent, excellent. And do you guys cater for particular areas, or are you pretty much worldwide in terms of the businesses that you help?
Yeah, so we're worldwide. I'd say the majority of our clients are in North America and Australia. Obviously, very polar opposites in terms of geography, but yeah, we have clients in 30 different countries around that kind of mark.
Mhm. Excellent. Yeah, because obviously been speaking to you guys for many years now, and for pure transparency for people who are listening, back before we were called the Tourism Marketing Agency, we actually used to be called Century Digital, and we developed a lot of websites in-house for Greyline and a few other big companies and things like that. But we decided to sort of get out of that game, as it were, and just focus more on the marketing side. So what we did was we rebranded, sold that side of the business off to Tour CMS, actually, who are one of the booking platforms that we did a lot of work with. But we still got a lot of leads in at that time for websites, that type of thing. So we decided to partner up with these guys at Tourism Tiger to any leads that we can pass them on, and hopefully, 'cause we felt that, or I certainly felt that the websites that you guys were doing followed a lot of the same lines as how we produced websites and design websites in terms of, the good thing about when we were designing for things like Greyline, because of the budgets that they had, big budgets and everything else, really allowed us to look at the user journeys, do a lot of testing, that type of thing. So we felt that the websites that you guys were doing followed a lot of those same principles. So I think that's what attracted us to you guys, and also we knew you guys as well, and you were a great bunch of guys. But that was a big driver for us to say, look, we've got the confidence to pass this sort of work on, and for you guys to do so. So you guys still produce some really good websites. So
Thanks, Chris. It's always good to have you available as well, because we get a lot of people who ask us about marketing and ask for advice or companies to recommend. So it's great to be able to send those people to you guys as well. So
no, thank you. Thank you. So, obviously, we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and everyone is they're doing things, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in websites, to make their websites better, make their marketing better, and all the other things they need to do, because a lot of operators, as we know, aren't operating at the moment, especially not to the full capacity as they should be, or maybe non-existent. So they're looking for ways to optimize their website more. They're looking at their website to say, is this going to be strong for me going forwards? Is this going to be a good platform for me? How can I make it better? So I think with this chat, we're going to have a chat to go over some of the positives in terms of what people can do to implement into their website to make their website stand out more, make it more user friendly, and make it more friendly for things like Google searches and that type of thing as well. So before we're going to, for those that are listening in the podcast, we are going to share our screen in terms of looking at websites. So those watching in the video will be able to see what we're doing, but we'll do our best to explain what that is for those that are just listening on an audio podcast as well. So don't worry if you are an audio podcast, we will try and explain that as much as we possibly can. So in terms of some of the changes that, or some of the things that operators should be looking at now to make those positive changes in their website. Is there any that comes to the top of your head that you see it's quite an often, I wouldn't say a mistake, but it's often a thing that you see coming across websites, you think this is probably not the way to implement something, but maybe this is the better way of doing it. Is there any sort of common thread that you've been seeing across many websites that you deal with?
I'd say that, I mean, if we're talking about right now and the kind of situation that we find ourselves in, I'd say that there's plenty of websites that I land on, and I don't actually know whether that business is operating right now. Like, unfortunately, it has had a huge effect on not just tourism but other industries as well, such as restaurants and shops and all sort of bars. So for me, I think the first thing that people need to do right now is actually address the situation. One thing that we've advised our clients to do is to have a bar across the top of the website, just underneath the menu, to basically say, check out our latest COVID updates. Even just a message saying we're still operating. Mm-hmm. As small as that sounds, it does make a huge difference when people are unaware, or even if it's, it could be that a company's operating, but we don't know what hours they're open. So again, check out our current operating hours, or the measures that we're putting in place. I think that right now is something that's very important. Until we come out the other side completely.
No, I agree, and we're advising a similar thing. I remember speaking to one operator, and I can't remember who it was, but they were saying, "Oh, we don't want to have anything about COVID on our websites. We don't want to be promoting COVID." And we're saying, "Well, the media and everyone else is talking about COVID. No, you mentioning COVID is not really going to promote it because it's being promoted as much as it possibly can anyway." So, but it's just getting across and installing trust in your customers to say, "Look, we're still here. We're still in business. We're still looking to operate as much as we possibly can. But here are the steps we're taking to make sure that your time with us is safe." And then I think that's such an important message to get across. And like you say, having that near the top where it's easy for people to see and click through to go to a page or whatever that would be, I think it's a necessity more than anything else.
That's right. I think right now, one of the first questions in someone's head is your business still open? Mm-hmm. And if you can address that, then they're more likely to stick and start going through the website and start interacting. Because you could have in your booking software, you could have your available dates there, but someone's not going to click book now until they're actually ready to do so. So yeah, hitting that early on. And same with the blog posts. If you do have a blog on your website, making sure that these blog posts are up to date, they're current. And again, that could be a very good place to address these kind of issues if you want to. If you don't want to address it, then at least show that you are still operating in some way through what you're posting.
No, it's a good point. No, it's one of the questions you be asking. Should you do marketing? Should you still be doing marketing? We've really not got anything to sell or anything like that. And to a certain extent, I can agree with that. No, if you've got nothing to sell, if no one's operating, then okay, I can understand the argument there. But on the other hand, as you say, if people are looking just now, even if they can't book at the moment, they're looking for something to do further down the line. They're just looking around for inspiration. So being able to see that a blog's been updated even throughout this whole pandemic for the last 6 months and beyond, that you're keeping the website up to date, you're on social media, doing all these other things, it just makes your potential customers know that you're still alive, you're still there, the business is still going. And it's, if nothing else, it just gives you extra brand awareness, and because there'll be lots of their competitors and operators' competitors who won't be doing anything like that. So it gives them an opportunity to possibly jump ahead in rankings or anything like that as well. So
yeah, definitely. And as you mentioned there, throughout the lockdown, a lot of our customers actually saw no drop in traffic. Okay, people weren't necessarily booking, but you've got people who might be cooped up or who at least don't have the option to travel right now, and that's all they're thinking about.
Yeah.
They're thinking, okay, when this ends, this is what I want to do. So yeah, putting yourself there at the front and center of their mind. They're probably more likely now than ever to start subscribing to a newsletter, or to get these kind of updates, so they know when, even if you're not operating, when you're actually going to be back operating. Yeah. So very important to keep up that side of things, definitely.
No, I agree. So I believe we're going to have a look at one or two of the websites that you guys have put together, just to give those who are listening and watching an idea of why you've taken the design elements and put those things in place, and why they've been done in a certain way. Obviously, things like user journeys and everything like that as well, but hopefully trying to explain a little bit better visually, and also to those listening in the podcast, we'll do our best to explain. But just to get across the steps that you've taken and why it's been done in that particular way. So just to give people a better idea of what their website should contain, or at least give them some indication of, like, this is maybe what you should be thinking of in terms of making the buyer purchase journey a lot easier, or getting across a COVID message, or whatever that would be. So, what's a couple of websites you're going to highlight today?
Okay, so first one is a company called Insight Cities, who are based in Europe, mainly in Eastern Europe. I was going to just focus on their Vienna website, or their Vienna page, basically.
Sure.
And then also we have a food tour website based in Manhattan, and a brand new company that's just setting up in Melbourne in Australia as well. So very varied in terms of the businesses that they do, but also in their geography as well. So we've got Europe, North America, and Australia there as well.
Good. Traveling the world, like it.
Exactly, in one podcast.
Okay, so which one shall we look at first?
Should we pull up Insight Vienna? Do you want me to share my screen at this point?
Yeah, please share the screen and we'll have a look at that.
Yeah. So as you can see here, I've got Insight Cities. As we've just mentioned there about the corona updates and making sure that people know that you're still operating. As you can see, these guys here straight away, they have a special offer for tours and for locals, and they also have the coronavirus updates as well. And there's somewhere obvious there where we can click through, and we can get through and we can see about what those updates are. So again, just keeping people aware of the current situation, both in the city and with the business.
I was just, as you were scrolling up there, I like the fact that was sticky, so it stayed to the top, so it didn't scroll, it stayed with the menu, so I liked that. So
yeah, that's it, definitely. Again, we do think that right now this is a priority for people.
So for those listening in the podcast, we're looking at the Insight Cities website. So just under the main menu, there's a blue bar that has a sort of offer for 20% off, or 25% off, sorry, local tours and activities and coronavirus updates. Click here to read more, basically. So they click on that and they'll get more information on coronavirus, the steps that they're taking, and providing a discount at the same time. So that stays to the top. Anytime you scroll, that just stays to the top. So.
Yeah, and again, this is an adaptable. Right now, as we say, we're using it for Corona, but the fact that we have this banner here, if people are offering any special discounts, or there's something that they really want to bring to their users' attention, they've always got the option to use this bar for other purposes as well.
Excellent.
Cool. So one of the reasons why I wanted to start off with Insight and talk about Insight is because these guys they're based in various cities across Eastern Europe, or Europe as a whole, and they're quite a niche company in terms of they focus on the educated traveler. So they're looking for people who are professionals who are going to and visiting these places and just really want to learn from that, and they've most likely got some sort of background knowledge already as well. So they're not kind of like, if someone was going to Prague, for example, or going to Vienna, they might be going for like a stag party, or just going for for a quick whirlwind tour, but Insight focus on these higher caliber of tours, basically. So I thought they'd be very good to kind of show how we really differentiate that and really put that across through the website.
Excellent.
And
I like the
even
fact
here,
you've got the book button straight underneath the main sort of title on the image and the banner and things like that. It's a nice little. Well, they've actually got two options there, two call to actions, one to see our tours, and then one to book now. So I like that fact that that's there, and that's again that was something that we used to like implementing as well.
yeah, that's it. And the reason why we do that is because generally you will have two types of website visitors. The majority of people have never been to your website before. So when they land on your website, the first thing that they want to do is, like we said before, make sure that you're actually active, that you're actually in business, which we're doing with the banner across the top. But then they also want to make sure that you are a company that offers what they're looking for. It has to be relevant. So we make sure that in the headline here, we show exactly what they do. They do Vienna tours. And then we use the sub headline to start hinting at the niche that they're going for. So their world-class culture and imperial legacies. So if I was looking for a booze cruise, or just looking to have a quick whirlwind and tour the bars and stuff, straight away I know that these guys aren't relevant for me, and I can leave their website. But they want to make sure that the people who they're targeting are going to stay on the site. So we do that with both the header and the subheader. And then the buttons, coming on to the buttons that you mentioned there, Chris, these people, now they've realized it's relevant for them. Now they want to know what they're offering. So that's like the important first step. And then the other set of website visitors we've got, they've already been to this website before. 80% of people who book a tour, minimum of 80% of people who book a tour, have already been to your website. So these people are most likely coming back to either just, dot a few I's and cross a few T's, or they just want to book. So there's no point in sending them through the same journey and, letting them kind of explore and discover. They just want to get straight through to booking their tour. So that's why we tend to split the call to action buttons down these two very kind of separate paths.
Yeah, excellent.
Cool. So yeah, the very next thing that we do, so sticking on the fact that these guys are looking for the more kind of educated tourists, the people who have disposable income, and straight away we're setting out the points of difference for Insight here. So we can see here that all guides are either PhD or MA level. So they've either got a master's or a PhD in their studies, whether that's history or philosophy or music or whatever is relevant to that particular tour. The guides that they choose have got qualifications in this. So that that's the kind of direction that they're going in terms of their brand. Again, private and small group guided tours, showing that you're not going to be thrown on a bus with 20 other people. Which
is important now.
100%, yeah, now more than ever.
Yeah.
And then also the customized side of it as well. So people who do have this disposable income, they're going to be more guided towards this kind of tour than like we said, stack it high and sell it low kind of experience.
So for those listening on the podcast, so just under the main banner, there's like three, I don't know if you would call them unique selling points or three things that you want the customers wanting to get across. But again, it's saying they've got PhD level guides, they've got private small group tours and customized experiences as well. So just to really highlight three of the main elements that maybe makes them different from their competitors as well. So
yeah, definitely. So again, even in the text, like the text for me is a big distinguisher between different tours in terms of the style that it's written. So if you look at the prose here, it uses a lot of elegant kind of sentence structures. It doesn't use any kind of punctuation in terms of exclamation marks, exclamation points, etc. It goes straight into an advanced level of text. If we think about the average American, which I don't know why it's the average American, but it always is the average American, has a reading level of 8th grade, which I think is 13 years old. I don't think most 13-year-olds would be able to read through the text that they have on their website and be able to understand it. So immediately it's setting itself apart. It's only aiming for these people who, would actually identify with the text on the site.
Excellent, excellent. That's actually a good point, you make, with the content. It's making sure you're. A lot of people will use, and it's one of my little gripes actually, but it's a lot of people use Yoast on WordPress websites or their websites to help, adding meta information and SEO keywords and that type of thing. A lot of them will follow it to say, oh, I've got a red mark next to my Yoast because it says it's not readable by a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old or whatever that would be, and I always say, and I don't know, you may disagree with me here, so it'd be good to get your take on this, Russell, but I always say, that's that side of Yoast, I tell all my customers never follow that, because Yoast doesn't know the type of customer you're trying to attract. It doesn't know what you're trying to convey across that text. All it will look at using its algorithms is to say, is this readable by, as you say, a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, that type of thing. But if you're looking to attract PhD sort of customers, then writing for a 13 or 14-year-old probably isn't going to cut it. So, in that sort of sense, that's where a lot of these plugins sort of fall to the wayside, because you just don't know who it is you're trying to talk to in terms of your target customer.
No, exactly what you say. I think it's not just necessarily on the text. I think it's a more general kind of approach where, people are being told all the time, look, you need to have an SEO website. You need to get keywords into your website. You need to be picked up by the robots. But at the end of the day, you're not selling to robots. You're selling to people. So you need to put the people first, right? So, from there, once you put your website visitor or your target audience first, then you can start looking at these robots, at making sure that, you can get to the top of the search engine. But yeah, first and foremost, it is your target customer that you need to sell to.
Yeah, no, well said. So just underneath that, you're starting to list, is that tours now? You're just starting to list underneath that little bit of text?
Yeah, so even if we clicked the CR tours, this would just pull you straight down to this section on the homepage. So it's just what we call an anchor link, which just means that, if someone doesn't necessarily want to start reading through the website and going through your website's kind of natural journey, if they're the sort of person who lands on the site and they just want to know, okay, I just want to know what you sell. Maybe they have a specific tour that they have in mind, a specific location that they want to visit. And you need to help them get that information as quick as possible. So we just pull it straight down to here, and even in the tour names, we've got Vienna introduction here, which obviously, as an introduction, it doesn't sound like it's going to be too in depth. But then we look at some of these tour titles, and we have here the Belvedere Palace Museum, a world-class arts collection in an aristocratic utopia. Again, this isn't the kind of tour that you would go on if you were just like, okay, I just want to get my surroundings. This is for someone who really is interested in this sort of thing. So even the tour titles, I think they really distinguish who their target audience is.
Yeah, I have to say it's credit to Insight Cities at the fact that they went that sort of niche, went down that niche market, and a lot of operators will try to cater for as many different types of people as possible. The fact that they went really niche for this PhD, sort of, I wouldn't say more up market, but that customer that they're trying to attract, it's good to see. I like to see businesses going down a niche like this, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's something that we probably skipped here as we're talking, but the main colours of their branding is blue, right? It's again for those people listening to the podcast, it's a deeper blue color, and blue tends to put across professionalism. It puts across trustworthiness, confidence, strength. So even not just the names of the tours, even the color of their branding and the color of their website, it really exudes that kind of, like you say, that that educated and really niche kind of sentiments.
Yeah, yeah, I can't agree more.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I'm just going to continue going down, and again, straight away, underneath the tour section, there's a section here talking about the guides, giving a bit of a background, a bit of an overview about them. And it says here, first sentence, they're professors, they're grad students, arts critics, and historians. So straight away, they're going in again with this real credibility kind of angle that they're hitting, and I feel that they do a really good job of doing so. And then they give the option of going more into the About Us page. They have guide profiles as well. So the sort of person who really wants these kind of details before they reach their decision. We're giving them the paths that they can go down to get that information nice and easily for them.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
And again, with insights, it is all about credibility. They aren't, like we mentioned before, they have quite a high price point. So, it's all about backing that up, right? It's all about showing what you're paying for and why you're paying that extra money. So we can see here in the news, they've got very reputable newspapers that have written articles on them, such as The Guardian, Scotsman, and the Globe and Mail as well, which I think is a Canadian publication, judging by the logo.
Yeah. Little maple leaf at the end.
Yeah, bits of a giveaway. And again, they've got even more, so they've got a lot of really credible news sources that they've built up. It's not just a case of people will naturally approach you. You also have to go out and help build that credibility to showcase on your site. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of new operators can struggle when it comes to this because obviously they've not put on any tours up to this point as a company. Maybe they don't have any partners at this moment. They're not listed anywhere, etc. So sometimes it can be really hard as a new operator getting to this kind of level. But yeah, it's definitely worth investing your time in trying to make these links and really put your business out there so you're able to build this kind of credibility up on your website.
No, for sure, and especially if you had a section in your blog that was more press related, then you had little brief introductions that were actually written on your website to mention, okay, I was in the Scotsman, and you give a brief explanation of what that article was, and then link over to the article, and then hopefully that article links back to you. All helps with your backlinking, all helps with your SEO and that type of things as well. So it's one of the things I sometimes see when I come across websites that they'll have a press section, and all they'll really do is take a screenshot or an image of the press article and stick it in the blog with no supporting text, no nothing, which obviously doesn't get picked up by Google or anything like that. So being able to take some of that text, add it to your website, or write a brief explanation of what it is, and then link off is always a better option, in my opinion. The fact that they've got this here and you can see it's real text talking about what it is, and then the little logo underneath with the different publications is really good. I like to see that. It's good.
Yeah. Cool. And then again, credibility. It's not just, so as you can see here, they've gone from their own words about themselves, then they've pulled in like organizations, periodicals, etc. And then they're going down to the peers. So then it's about what the guests are saying. So they're getting all different boxes ticked, throughout this homepage to build that credibility up. So, what previous guests are saying. And this is something that a lot of people are on TripAdvisor, and obviously, as everyone who's on TripAdvisor knows, commissions there can be quite high. So rather than just sending people off to TripAdvisor to read these reviews, or adding in a TripAdvisor widget, which really tries to send them away from your website and into TripAdvisor, we pull those testimonials and reviews into the website. So, just like you were saying there, Chris, it's native text on the website and might get picked up. But again, it keeps the visitor within the site. And then, we've all been on websites where we've seen reviews from Mr. James H. Bond, one that I remember seeing once and, and it didn't look very real. So yeah,
Yeah.
we do also have the link to TripAdvisor where,
Mhm.
if someone did want to then go there to see the review, they could do. But yeah, the main thing is to keep them within the website
Yeah, no,
and
I
to quote as
agree.
well.
Having reviews on the website is highly, highly important, as you know. No, any time that we are dealing with websites, unfortunately, one's not built by yourself, but when we're dealing with websites, one of the first things that we say to our customers is, okay, install a widget onto your website that does pull in TripAdvisor reviews. In fact, there's a great widget which I'll post in the show links in the show notes. But there's a great widget that pulls in your TripAdvisor, Facebook, Google. It pulls in pretty much all in, and that can be displayed as a nice little carousel on your website. Just so, because one of the things that we found, and I imagine you'll be the same as well, but one of the things that we found is, yes, your website can have its own testimonial section. And that's still better than having nothing on your website. But what consumers tend to think is, if it's on your own website and it looks as if it's been written just as a testimonial page on your website, it's not seen as genuine as maybe a TripAdvisor review, or because they think it's more than likely it has been made up. So by pulling
Hmm.
in something that's branded TripAdvisor or Get Your Guide or Google or something like that, it does come across as more natural, more real, and that just instills that little bit of extra confidence in the consumer.
Yeah, and definitely if the review is by Mr. James H. Bond, uh,
Yes.
it definitely reduces the kind of reliance on that review.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, and I think this is something that you were talking before, Chris, about what people can be doing during this time where maybe they're not offering as many tours as they
Mhm.
would like to do. This is a great time to look at things like maybe you put a widget into your website. Maybe it's just a case of going through your TripAdvisor, your Viator, your Yelp reviews, and pulling them into the website and linking back to those sources. It's very easy stuff to be able to do. You don't need to necessarily be technical in order to do this.
Exactly, and as you say, at the moment people have got time to experiment with everything that's going on, and it's amazing how things can change in a positive manner by adding in reviews, or even just the change of a color of a call to action button can make a huge difference. Just something as simple as that. So it's just, you've got the time, experiment with the website, try, a different color with your call to action, try adding in reviews. If nothing else, it's going to serve your website better in the long run. It gives you more data that you can say, okay, that worked or it didn't work, and then you know for sure. So it's now's the time to experiment, really is.
Yeah, 100%. Um, so yeah, and then in terms of this, if someone still has questions, they're still not sure, then we're ending with a call to action, on the homepage. So rather than someone goes through the homepage and they get to the bottom and then they're like, okay, that's great. We're actually imploring them to now take action.
Yeah.
If you do need more information, get in touch. Um, Something you mentioned before, Chris, is that the banner about the Corona updates that obviously follows, but so does the menu. So if
Mhm.
someone's got all the way to the bottom here, they have the option to get in touch, but there's also the menu there where they could, take other actions as well. They could read more about the company. They might want to just book now, which again, that is an option that follows them down in the menu. Um, so yeah, there's different actions that person's then able to take once they get to the bottom.
Excellent. And I like the fact at the bottom you've got just some quick links as well that people can click on to go there. Or even though the menu's sticky, they can still click on something. There's always some sort of way they can get back to the menu, or link off to another page or something like that to give them a next step. So
Yeah, 100%. There's something that I don't think this is a technical term, but we often refer to people with menu blindness, right? So there's some people who just don't look up at the menu, and when they're navigating through a website, they will literally just look through the text, look for links that they can click on throughout the page rather than going back. So yeah, like you say, having these options available in the
mhm.
footer as well, yeah, is very important.
No, it's true. No, there is that element, as you say, where people have menu blindness, and that's why it's so important to get your call to actions on the page. Make them stand out, make sure that people know what the next step is. No, it's a horrible thing to say, but no, you have to sort of cater for the lowest common denominator in terms of, okay, this is what you have to read. What do I do next? And you've got to give them that step of what to do next. And it's I've seen websites where they have too many call to actions, and it just confuses the consumer saying, okay, do I get in contact? Do I click to find out more? Do I book? Do I do? Now, I've come across websites where they've had like 5 or 6 call to actions pretty much in the one screen, and it's just like, okay, no, it's crazy. So it's just giving them 1, 2 maximum call to action to say you can either do this or this. Which one do you want to do, to try and lead them down that purchase journey? So it's and as you say, a lot of people don't see the menu. So by scrolling the text, which in a sense is good, it means they're getting drawn in by your content, your images. They're seeing the stuff that you want them to see, and then hopefully they'll see that book button or inquire button. So
Yeah, definitely, definitely. At this point, I think it would be good to go over to Manhattan and kind of
yeah.
contrast the way that Manhattan have laid their content out and the content that they've got on their website, and how different it is.
Yeah, excellent. Let's have a look at that. Food tours is it's great to see you're showcasing a food tour website, because it's one of the probably the fastest, next to bike tours. It's probably one of the fastest growing tourism industry. Well, pre-COVID and everything else, but it was one of the fastest growing. So it's an amazing, such an amazing product. You know, 'cause everyone loves food. Everyone, food's a great way of bringing people together. And I know it's one of the products I think has a strong chance of surviving COVID, that type of thing, because of the type of product it is. So
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite tour. I've obviously been on quite a few tours in my life. I've been to a few different places, but I'll always look out for a food tour, because I do feel it's the best way of experiencing the local culture
for sure.
more than anything. Especially when you don't speak the language and you look at the menu and you're just like, I don't really know what these things are. If you can have someone showing you around and showing you, the place to find the best one of this, etc. Yeah, I do really enjoy what those food tour operators are doing.
No, I agree, and just to not tarnish your brush, all us Brits don't all just go to McDonald's and try to find fish and chip shops and everything else. No, the most sane ones obviously like to try the food of the actual place that we go to. So
Yeah. Yeah, totally true. So yeah, cool. So getting straight into Manhattan food tours. One of the most obvious differences that we can see here when we first land on it is the color. First of all, the color scheme here, it's yellows, it's greens, whereas before we had the deep blue that was putting across the professionalism, confidence, trustworthiness of Insight. We come onto Manhattan, and obviously there are links with yellow and New York. Obviously the yellow cabs, etc. But aside from that, yellow really reflects warmth and friendliness, imagination, liveliness. So I do feel that as well as showing that this is New York, it really puts those emotions across for the visitor, and that's the kind of emotions that the Manhattan want to portray to their clients.
yeah, and I like the fact again, just for those that are listening, again straight under the menu, you've got a green banner instead of the blue one from the last website. But instead of more COVID, this is Greenwich Village Food Tour, now open Thursdays through Sundays. So it's just giving people an indication we are open, we are doing business, no, we are here ready to serve you, etc. So it's good to see that they're highlighting that again. So
Definitely, and a few of our clients have decided that they don't want to operate throughout COVID. Understandably, it might be that the government's not allowing them to, etc. And they've then leveraged this banner to put that across. So again, it stops people wasting their time. But if they're not looking to necessarily book right now, then obviously then they can still interact with the site.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, again, with the header, really tells you what they do. You've just found the best New York City food tour. And I mentioned before that Insight didn't occupy any kind of exclamation point. Straight away, there's one here with these guys. Again, showing that warmth, that liveliness, that friendliness of the company. So yeah, very different kind of message that they're going for.
Yeah, and again, that title at the top of the page, which is again for those listening, is just over the image. That could be a background video or whatever it's in the main banner or an image, but there's text over it, and that's actual text that's on the website, so it's not embedded into the image where Google can't pick it up. So it's, but I know I've came across so many websites who just have a big nice image at the top, and you don't actually see any content until you start scrolling down. And it's so important to have that text there, as you said, to let people know this is exactly what we do, no, and this is who we cater for. And it's again, if you're thinking it from a technical point of view for Google, Google loves to see that as well. It's called a H1 tag, which is a heading, the main header for the page, and Google uses that as a main driver for SEO.
Yeah, I often think of it like, I don't know if you do the same, Chris. I often think of it like a movie. So you know when you have like the screen setting wide shot that you normally start with a movie, sometimes you see like a landscape shot of New York, you know, and you can really tell it's New York. But then sometimes it's just a desert island, right? And you don't really know what that desert island is. So that they'll always put, you know, Costa Rica 5 years ago
Yeah,
or something like that. So, you know, you immediately you know where you are, you know, you're not feeling disorientated. And then it allows you to then start interacting and start actually enjoying it rather than, you know, acting in confusion, like, oh,
yeah.
what are we actually watching here? What's going on?
No, good analogy.
So,
Yeah,
yeah. Cool. So again, you know, we're giving these two different options straight away. You know, someone who's just come here, they don't know about what Manhattan food tours, they don't know what options are available to them. Straight away, the option view our tours, or book a tour now if they've been previously, and they're just ready to make that booking. You know, just making it really easy, removing friction as much as we can for these kind of people.
excellent.
So yeah, again, you know, you can see immediately again the 3 points of difference when we scroll below this. You know, we're talking about local guides here. We're not talking about you know, the qualifications, about, you know, the educational background. The first thing that they say on the best local guides is it's like having a friend show you around, right? So again, it's that friendliness, it's that liveliness, it's that welcoming people. You know, very different kind of points of difference that these guys are putting across compared to Insight. Cool. And then again, you know, even if we scroll below here and we look at the tours themselves, I don't think you really need any kind of background on this, do you? It's just a case of like, okay, do I go to Greenwich? Do I go to Hell's Kitchen? Do I do Chinatown? Or do I go to Grand Central Market? Yeah, just very, very simple, very straightforward, and very easy to distinguish between which tour that you want to do.
Yeah. To be honest, the images is making me hungry, to be honest.
No,
See,
it's actually
I love gyozas, so I absolutely love gyozas, and the fact that that's there, I'm going, I might have gyozas tonight.
it's 12 o'clock here, which means it's my lunchtime in like 30 minutes, so I'm starting to rumble a little bit. So cool. And again, like with when it comes to like the testimonials that these guys are putting on, again, we're pulling them into the website from other sites, allowing people to read the full testimonials, or, you know, go straight through to the actual source of that testimonial.
Excellent.
But yeah, I'd say all the text here, you know, when we were talking before about 8th grade level, without putting it through any kind of plugins or any kind of like writing assistant tools, you know, it's very easy to read, short sentences, good energy, and, you know, just making it really accessible, because, you know, I think anyone can go on this kind of tour. You know, there's no kind of restrictions that they're trying to put in place at all.
Excellent.
Nice little pun there as the call to action. You know, hungry for more information.
Info. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, contact us now. Which, like you say, Chris, after looking at some of these pictures, it's impossible not to be hungry after that, isn't it? But something that we didn't really touch on before was the menu. When we looked at Insight, I'm just going to touch on it now
Sure.
very quickly on Manhattan Food Tours. We Andrea, actually, who does our marketing at Tours and Tigers, she brought this analogy to my attention, and I really love it. And she was talking about menus as being like supermarkets, where basically when you walk into a supermarket, when you think of the size of a supermarket, they can be absolutely huge and very daunting if you walked in there and you had to find a specific item, right? So imagine you walked into a supermarket and you had to find a tin of beans, right? And it could be a very daunting task, if they were just in any random position. So we like to think of the menus as being like supermarkets, right? Where you walk in or you land on the website and straight away the aisles are visible there, so you can see where the frozen aisle is, you can see where the tinned aisle is, you can see where the bakery is, you can see where the alcoholic drinks are, etc. So you can find what you're looking for straight away.
Yeah.
So here, are you looking for food tours? Are you looking for custom tours? Do you want to know more about us? Do you want to contact us? Do you want to book now? Straight away we're giving these people limited options because we don't want to overwhelm them at this stage. Again, thinking back to supermarket analogy, if those beans were on any random shelf, it would be very overwhelming. So you want to show them which aisles that you have available. And then even within the aisles themselves, so when you go to the aisle, you've got the frozen food, but you don't have peas next to ice cream, next to sweet corn, next to ice. I can't think of any other frozen foods. But again, you'll have all the ice cream together. You'll have all the peas together, all the different varieties, all the different manufacturers, etc. So again, it's just really breaking it down those steps and just making it easy to find. So this is quite a simple, quite a small website. But if we go back to Vienna at this stage, they do have a lot of tours in a lot of cities. So again, rather than just giving them a list here of every single tour they do, go to your city first. From there, find your tour. So yeah, that's very important.
That is a pet hate of mine, actually. Sorry to interrupt, but I've again came across so many websites where the drop-down menus are just horrendous. They actually go past the page length, and you have to scroll past to get to all the different pages because they put in every single product that they've got in there, and it's just like, if a customer think of it from a customer's point of view, there, as you said there, and I love that analogy of being looking at a supermarket shelf. What do you think? That's almost what it's like. It's just looking at a supermarket shelf, seeing all the different brands, seeing all the different products. You go, what the hell do I select here? And if you've got too many options for a customer, it's just going to confuse the hell out of them. So by just giving them bite-sized chunks and letting them explore, and the deeper they go into, the more information they will find. There's always a better option, in my opinion. And it's good to see that you guys are following a similar tactic. So
yeah, definitely. And something else we do here, just going again back to Insight, which we didn't really discuss, was this search feature. They do have a lot of different cities, a lot of different tour types. So for them, it's about, okay, so do I want a small group or do I want a private? Do I want it to be a day trip? Do I want it to be on architecture, culture and history, Jewish history? What sort of niche am I looking to do? So just really pulling out those niches and helping the customer get to where they want to get to.
Yeah, no, it's vital. A search is absolutely vital, especially if you've got a big website. If you've maybe got 10, 15 tours, 20 tours or so, it's maybe not suitable. But if you have got tens and hundreds of tours, then yeah, a search is an absolute must, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
And now, no, just going back to Manhattan tours, one of the things we didn't touch on as well, which I love seeing, is the fact at the very top of the menu. So you've always got like a sort of mini menu or a mini information bar just above the main menu, which easily displays the email address and the phone number and the social links. So if someone did want to phone, they can, especially if they're on mobile, they can just click that phone number, it will dial up the company, that type of thing, or send them an email. So the fact that that's there, always visible at the top as well, is something that I love seeing. So it's just showing that that you're approachable, making it super easy for the customer to get in contact with you. And I think that's a vital thing to have up the top, is the email. Even if you don't want to show an email address, a phone number specifically is one of the best things to have up there. So
yeah, definitely.
Excellent. No, it's a nice. I like it. I like the way you've laid out the website. Again, following a lot of the same elements is what we would follow. The only slight, I don't know. It'd be good to get your take on this. Actually, it's one of the things that we do when we're adding things to websites is you have the reviews and things that are a little bit further down the page, but we like to put that more near the top, either just under the main banner, whether it's like a TripAdvisor rotating carousel or some sort of badge. And we like to put that near the top, because we just feel that it basically just gets across the trust factor that little bit quicker. So what's your take? What have you found in terms of the placement of reviews? Does it make much difference from what you guys have seen, or do you, 'cause you come across websites where they've won, no, they've won a major award on TripAdvisor for the year, but then they stick the tiniest little logo down in the footer somewhere and
Mhm.
nobody sees it type thing. So it's one of the reasons why we like to keep it up near the top. But we good to sort of hear what your take is on that. Or what have you found in terms of the placement of reviews and that type of thing? So
Yeah, in terms of, so like we were saying before, in terms of when we're talking about that customer's journey and what they're
mhm,
looking for, right? The first thing that they want to know is that A, you offer what they're looking to do, right? And then B, that what you offer is within their budget, it's available the days that they want to do it, etc., etc. So once someone's established that, then they're going to start considering whether you're actually the person who they're going to trust, right? Something you mentioned there, Chris, was like a TripAdvisor logo
mhm.
or certificate of excellence. Those certificate of excellences can be brilliant decision makers. So with those, if someone has one, then we would recommend putting it here at the very top. We can
Yep.
actually put it as part of the image,
Mhm.
right? So when someone lands on this page, as part of the image, they have a certificate of excellence. Cool. So yeah, here we've got Columbia Travel Operator. No prizes for guessing what country these guys are in. So yeah, you mentioned there about if they do have any kind of certificate of excellences and stuff. With these guys, it's there where previously we had the points of difference.
Mhm.
Here we have the fact that they've got 3 years of sustained certificate of excellence between 2016 and 2018. We've got 5-star reviews on Facebook and 5-star reviews on Google as well. So, with these guys, they have that before we go into the different points of
Mhm.
difference. But again, they have the option to skip through this point if they want to, and they can just get straight through to those tours and choosing which tour that they would like to go on.
Yeah, but it's still good that you're showing that closer to the top. Like I say, there's so many businesses who have that certificate of excellence, and the first thing they do is they stick it in the footer where uh, most people, when they scroll, will never see the footer because they'll either click to go through to another page or whatever. And the footer's reldomly seen, especially on mobile devices. So it's the fact that that's near the top, just to emphasise, look, this is how good we are. No, TripAdvisor have gave us this award for the last 3 years between 16 and 2018. So it's like show that, don't have it hidden away. Show how good that you are. So
100%. And just coming back to what we were talking about before, these guys have got a lot of tours, and they opted for a mega menu.
mm,
So again, what we've done is if you're talking about these as being supermarket aisles, you've got your Medellin aisle, you've got your Bogota aisle, and you've got your
mhm.
Cartagena aisle. So again, really setting it out there so you can find which tour you want rather than just every single thing they do just thrown together. Cool. So,
So
yeah, back onto Manhattan food tours. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up about this site at all, Chris?
no, I think it's a great looking website again, following a lot of the same structure. And I suppose, yeah, one of the things that I would maybe ask is, it's a question we sometimes get asked is, no, you've pretty much answered it already, but no, up at the main banner, you've always got the book now button, and it'd be good to get your take on this. No, whether if people are using Fair Harbor, I think Peak do the same thing.
Mhm.
Whereas one of the things I don't like seeing, I understand why it's there, but from a marketing's point of view, it can maybe throw some issues up. But by having someone click, what I have seen, sorry, is I've seen lists of tours like you have on the page, but as someone clicks, find out more, it actually launches the booking widget. So they're starting to go through that booking process, which for me, I've seen a lot of websites do that. So I like to see a web when someone clicks on, find out more, actually takes them to a separate page of more information, let them know about that, and then that contains the actual proper booking widget, whether it's a calendar or a book button or anything like that. Because what I tend to find is it tends to happen with a lot of Fair Harbour websites for some reason. But what I tend to find is if someone just clicks on that, it's not giving them what they expected it to do. They expected to go to a page rather than launching the booking widget. So for me, that's raising the abandonment cart rates of the website because people are going, that's not what I wanted. They click off and then they try to find the information they want. I actually find it more of an annoyance than anything else. So how do you guys see that? Do you see that as an issue, or do you see it as an annoyance, or do you actually think it's actually, or am I just overthinking things?
No, no, I completely agree with what you're saying, Chris. Yeah, you do have to at every point, be as clear as possible, and there's several reasons for that. One of them, like you said, is making sure that when someone clicks a button, they know where they're going, so they then don't feel confused. They don't feel almost lied to that you're trying to trick them into booking something. And another thing is that a lot of these websites that do that, they have the tour information within the booking engine rather than native on the website, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So by doing that, your website page isn't going to build up any kind of SEO presence because you don't have a page. People are going from your homepage and they're getting that information from a Fair Harbour widget, Fair Harbour, however you have it set up on your website, basically.
Yeah.
And then
Sorry, on you go.
sorry, I was just going to say the third reason, and it's something that's probably not talked about very often, is website accessibility, which is hugely important. It's especially in places like in America, they have ADA compliance. Australia, they have very strict rules within the EU as well, where your website has to be accessible for everyone. So yeah, if someone goes onto your website and the screen reader needs to tell them exactly what's going to be happening, and if it doesn't, then your website's not accessible. So
very good point.
yeah.
Very, very good point. And the other point I was going to make there before I rudely interrupted you, so apologies for that, was that one of the, again, a little pet of hate I see is somebody clicks on a tours page rather than listing a snippet or a card of each tour that you can then click into to find out more. What they'll do is they'll just list all their tours in the one page, maybe with a little brief paragraph of what that is and a book button. Next tour with a little brief paragraph and a book button, but it's all in the one page. But what that's doing is it's not really giving Google a cohesive or not telling Google, right, this is what this page does, this is what this page is about, because you get so many different types of products on there, possibly even so many different destinations depending on the type of company you are. It's really important to have each tour page having its own page with its own information, because it just helps Google so much better. You'll rank better, and it just makes the customer journey a lot better so they can actually see more information rather than just a little quick snippet, and then they'll find out more information, as you say, as they click the book button, which sort of defeats the purpose of the website in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Just one more point on that as well. Some people who don't have a booking software where people can make these, bookings right there in the moment. Again, don't call it a book button. Call it an inquiry button. Inquire now, or contact us, or however you want to word it. But again, if someone's expectation is that once they've sent that form through, or once they've made that inquiry, that they've now got a booking with you, then again, that's mislabeling. They need to be very clear at what stage they're going to be at once they send this form.
Exactly true. And one of the websites that I always say people should look at, because for me they've got some of the best design and UX teams in the world, and it's one of the reasons why they've become so popular as Airbnb. It's one of the best design websites. They always, if you look at what they do in terms of the market, if you look at how they have their booking widget down the side, they have their information really cleanly laid out. If you can book it, it will say book, but if you can't, it will say reserves. So it's reserving your spot, so you're not actually booked. It's just look at the wording, look at what companies like that are doing, because they spend silly money testing all these things out. So if you can emulate what they do, then you're going along the right sort of lines in terms of your website. So
definitely, something that we got from them actually was so on our tour pages, one of the things that we've had for a while now is you'll notice that we have this sidebar here, and this sidebar, it will follow the site visitor as you scroll. It will stick with them, right? So they're always able to make that booking. Something that we always had on mobile was that book now button used to be stuck just to the top of the screen. So if someone's scrolling down, it was there at the top. One thing that I noticed about Airbnb is that they were doing it at the bottom of the screen, right? And what had happened was, and something that we then kind of looked at, was that as mobile phone screens had got bigger and bigger, people were less likely to look at the top, right? Because it's, you're looking at the information that you're scrolling through.
Mm-hmm.
So just something that we picked up from Airbnb. We were like, yeah, that makes sense. So
And
we
if people are
switched our
lazy,
sticky
it's
buttons to
closer to where their thumb is. It's the main call to action is closer to where their thumb is. That's people are lazy in that sort of sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like now it's so difficult, isn't it, to go to the top,
Yeah.
especially most people are right-handed as well, aren't they?
Mm.
So if you think about when you've got your website on mobile, if you have your hamburger menu in the top left, it's making it harder for right-handed people to click that menu, or unless they use their left hand, right? If someone's using it in one hand. So we'll always go for it on the right. So again, it just makes it easier for that person to do it one hand click.
Yeah.
So yeah, laziness comes into it a lot, but also these giant phones that we're seeing these days.
Yeah, if you're no, I've got pretty big hands, so it's not too bad for me. But my wife, who's got tiny little hands, it'll take her a week to get to the top of the phone to click the big button. So make it so make your main call to actions in your mobile near your finger or your thumb is right, which is going to be down the bottom anyway. So
definitely. So yeah, in terms of Manhattan, I think that's a very good example for those sorts of things. And then I just wanted to show you a website that isn't launched yet. We're going to be putting it live, I think, this week or next week. And we're still doing a bit of work on it. So just in case there's anything that might look a bit odd, that might be the reason why. But the reason why I wanted to bring it up is because this is a brand new business. So I was talking before about obviously building credibility. And sometimes, if you do have a new business, you don't have the luxury of a company like Insight where they've got loads of testimonials, industry awards, TripAdvisor rankings, an amount of guests of service, press mentions, all these kind of things. So what I like with WAM, or Wild Adventures Melbourne, is how they've overcome that. So one thing that I wanted to bring up was, first of all, I think the branding. I really like the way that they've really set themselves out with a really cool, fresh look with the branding.
yeah, I do like that. It's really nice.
Yeah, and again, these guys, they're very. If we look here at the points of difference, eco-friendly, sub-zero waste, social enterprise, connect with nature. So again, I think that the branding and the green color scheme that they've gone for, I think it really fits into what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives them something that maybe you do have an established business who is hoovering up the clientele in the area, but are they doing these really niche things like sub-zero waste? How what does their social enterprise look like? So what I really like about what Nick's doing here is that he has a mission statement, which he has here on his site. Under his About Us. So, if we go on there, it's also on his homepage, but, it goes into his story, it builds a story, it builds trust in this new company that doesn't necessarily have these other things to fall back on. He's sharing his own personal journey. He's telling you who he is, and why you should trust him. And here we've got his mission statement based around care. So yeah, in terms of credibility, it doesn't all have to be what you've done in business. It can be about your own personal goals and really putting them across in a really really engaging way, which I feel he does with his story and the way he's set out those 4 core values that he has.
Yeah, so for those listening in the podcast, we've got a page here which it's almost like a timeline, a very small timeline of this is who he was. No, this is the type of person he is because of the experiences and the tours and the places that he's travelled around the world, and this is why he's set up WAM, Wild Adventure Melbourne. And I love seeing stuff like this. No, when it comes to marketing, when I speak to tour operators, it's like the best form of marketing is to humanize your brand. It's to get across why, especially within tourism, no, it's to get across why you love doing what you do. Don't be scared to have yourself on the website. Don't be scared to put you in front of any marketing materials, that type of thing. It's almost like creating your own sort of personal brand in a way, but it's just it just makes the brand more personable. It makes you more approachable. And what WAM have done here is exactly the sort of stuff I love seeing. And it's the fact that it's a new company, doesn't have any reviews, but he's saying, look, this is who I am. This is the reason why we've set this company up, and this is why we're doing what we're doing, and telling it in a really engaging, story-driven way. And I love seeing that. Love it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then something else that, again, if you are a new business and that's why you're listening to this or watching this, in terms of blogging, get your content in there early. So again, he doesn't necessarily have a huge back catalogue of blog posts that is written, but he's making sure that he's putting across some of his values, but then also showing that he's an expert in what he does through the blog post that he's writing, as well as getting his personality across.
Yeah.
So again, if you can't launch your website with, we're number one on TripAdvisor, we have this amount of qualifications, or this amount of mentions, create your own, create a picture of yourself, create your own journal there.
No, for sure, definitely. And it's almost the only way, without reviews, it's almost the only way you can build up your own brand and your own business and your own voice, is by doing things like this, creating really good blog posts, getting across your personality. And then from that, customers will come, then you'll be able to build up reviews, and it's all the cycle, all sort of ties in together. I love seeing it. And in fact, this is the first website as well. When we land on the initial homepage, we've actually got a background video, which again is something I love to see, because it's, again, this may have changed over the years, but from the test that we did back in the day when we did websites, is having a really good video in the background. And this, for those that are watching and listening, it doesn't have sound. It's just purely in the background as more of a visual aid, but it can really help draw people in to keep them on the website that little bit longer, just to sort of say, okay, and really sells a message of exactly what you do more, because pictures tell 1,000 words, and video does it even better. So by having that little background video in there, can really just get across a sense of who you are and what you offer. So
definitely. And something that we do with every website that has a video hero area, like the top area, is that we'll always have an image that's loaded in the background as well. So essentially, if someone lands on the website and they do have poor internet coverage, or if they're on mobile connection, rather than just seeing a blank screen that's waiting to load this video, because they are a lot more data intensive, obviously, the picture loads instead while it's waiting, right? So again, it just makes it very fast loading, something that we've not really touched on, which I think at one point it was quite revolutionary, but now I think it's just kind of taken as gospel that your website has to be quick. It has to load within a certain
it's a
period
big
of time.
ranking factor now. Yeah, Google have obviously made that with mobile first and everything else. It's such a huge ranking factor. Your website not just has to look good and read good and be readable by Google, it has to be fast as well. You're never, a lot of people use these testing websites like Google has, or Pingdom, or anything like that. And don't get me wrong, you'll be very, very rarely will you get an A+ in everything, or 100% in everything, just because of the nature of tour websites, because they're API heavy with the booking platforms that they use, that type of thing. So you're never going to get that with these type of websites. But if you can get like 70 or 80% above, you tend to be doing quite well, in my opinion. So, but no, speed does play a factor. But don't worry if you don't get 100%, because it's nigh on impossible.
That's it. One kind of tip that I would give if people are looking to kind of test their website speed is, rather than using something like Google Page Speed Insights, which will test how long it takes for every single element of your website to load, is using something like GT Metrics. So with GT Metrics, you can actually see how long it takes your website page to appear, and then it will take into account the extra things. So, for example, if Google shows your website loading at 17 seconds, it might actually be loading in 3 seconds. It's just taking an extra 14 seconds for a particular widget or
Mhm.
a video maybe to load. So
And that is
um,
it. No, especially with the background videos. No, a lot of these tools, like the Google one, will take that into account. It'll wait till the video's probably fully loaded, whereas something like GT Metrics knows that the video is going to be playing while it's loading in the background, so it takes that into account. So yeah, as you say, a website could load in 1, 2, 3 seconds, whereas Google will say it's 17 seconds or above or anything like that. So it's just something to look out for.
yeah, definitely. I think what we talked about before when we said about websites should be designed for the humans
Hmm.
who come and visit, for the people, for the visitors first, and then the bots and like SEO, etc.,
Yeah.
like as a kind of second thing that comes on top of it. I think using something like GT metrics, what people see is important. If someone comes on this website and it loads straight away, then that's fine. Even if these things are going on in the background, if they can interact with this website straight away, that's the key thing.
Hmm.
Because if they can't, then they're just going to leave, and then that's a customer lost basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not necessarily all about the numbers. It's about
Hmm.
what's actually going on the page.
Yeah, I'd be interested to get your take as well. No, it's one of the things I upgraded my system. I use a Mac, similar to yourself. And I
Hmm.
upgraded my, I think it was Safari got upgraded. And I know Chrome's going to go down this route as well, but I've now got a little button near the top of the bar where you enter the address bar, and it will actually
Hmm.
say, give you an indication of all the cookies that are being used, like Google Analytics, that type of thing, and it automatically blocks everything. So from a marketing point of view, that's just thrown up all sorts of nightmares. So you actually have to go into the browser to say, no, allow cookies on any website and that type of thing to make these things work. But it's one of these things that I'm wondering if that's going to cause any issues with websites in general. So it's going to be an issue for some customers where, or in some businesses when they come onto a website, and because a browser's not loading up a cookie, the website could look broken. It could look, it might not be functioning in the way that they think it should be functioning. I just tried it today with building Curiosity of with one of the Resday widgets we added to a customer's page, that the book button was hidden, and it actually had a little warning sign over it saying you need to enable cookies to make this widget work. So a lot of customers are going to see that if they if they don't have their cookies enabled within their browsers, which is automatically switched off by as soon as they install it and everything else. So I think that's going to throw up some issues, and I think that's for every website. And I'm just wondering if the consumer will know that. If the most no, I know that because of the technical background and things like that, but from Joe blogs and lady blogs who come onto a website who are not technically minded, they'll just think, "Oh, I can't book." No, I think that's going to. This will happen to OTAs, not just companies' websites and everything else as well. I think this is another thing. It just adds to the mix of when you start seeing your analytics decrease, when you start to see things like that happen. It's not necessarily anything wrong with the website. It's just now how the browsers are handling data, and they're stopping cookies, and unless you say so, unless you give them the approval. And it's even having a cookie policy thing on your website that somebody clicks to say allow cookies, that's not necessarily going to allow the browser to do it as well. It could be two things that you need to do within that. So it's going to throw up a lot of issues, especially for you guys building websites as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like you mentioned there, the idea is that the consumer doesn't notice the difference. That's going to be the key thing. But something that is going to take a big hit, like you mentioned there, is going to be the analytics side of it.
Mm.
There's definitely going to be a lot less data, or it's already started taking place, I suppose, in
Yeah.
some places. But long term, yeah, there will be a lot less data that people are able to make these informed decisions using. So it's just a case of being able to adapt to that and use the data that you are able to collect and use it in the most effective way.
Yeah.
And something you mentioned before, Chris, in terms of like whether that's A/B testing the colors of your booking buttons, or where your testimonials appear on the site, or things like that. Yeah, it's going to be important to use what you can actually get.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I like WAM. I think that's a great website. I love that branding. I think that's I love seeing a modern brand like that. It's just the way they've done it with the upside down exclamation mark and the M, and just the way it's designed and things like that. Really nice. I like it. Really nice.
Yeah, no, it's very cool, especially when somewhere like Melbourne as well, which I've never been, but it does seem a very cool place to visit. So
It's a part of the world
Yeah,
I've not been
definitely Kristen.
myself, and it's on my list one day, whenever we can, with everything that's going on. I'd love to be able to visit for sure.
Yeah, whenever they let us in.
Yeah. Well, Russell, I can't thank you enough for your time. I think what you've shown here on the various websites is a good idea of um, what should be on a website, the reasonings behind the layouts of a website in terms of going through that customer's mindset and their journey of, okay, I want to know a little bit more. Why should I book with you? Here's your products. Here's the call to actions. That sort of user journey and the user flow is so important. And a lot of websites don't get it right. And it's good to sort of highlight there. You can see the similarities between each website, but it's still focused on each one of those brands and it's still tailored to them in a way. But it doesn't matter whether you're a small operator or a big operator, but you're following that same process of a customer journey. And it's been done that way because it's been proven that it works. Now, again, looking at companies like Airbnb and things like that, they spend amazing amounts of money on these type of things. So it's good to sort of see you've got that consistency, but still being able to differentiate between the two different brands and that type of thing as well. So thanks for showing us those websites.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me along, Chris.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
in terms of the R&D, we like to think of it that you're able to share that cost, right?
Mhm.
We do that R&D, and that's shared across our client base. So
Yeah.
it means that you don't need Airbnb's budget in order to do the same kind of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly how we approached it back in the day. So I love seeing that. So if anyone loved what they saw, they want a Manhattan tour website or something similar, how would they get in touch with you guys, and what's the best methods?
Yeah, they're most likely to be talking to Kristen. Rather than me spelling out her name and email address for you, you
We'll put
can
it on
just
screen.
drop an email. Yeah, cool. Or you can just email sales@tourismtiger.com or check out our website, tourismtiger.com, and contact us through that.
Excellent, excellent. So thanks again, Russell. I appreciate the time. It's been, as you say, we've been planning on doing this for a while, and for whatever reasons, it's just never happened. So I'm glad we've finally managed to sit down and do it. And yeah, I'll get. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I've loved it and love seeing what you guys do, and long may it continue.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris. It's definitely been worth the wait for me anyway.
Thanks again.
All right, cheers.
This episode of the Digital Tourism Show was brought to you today by Rentrax, fully customizable rental management systems for tour operators. You can book your free demo at rentrax.com.